I am Lisa Lasandrella. I'm a counselor in the Merit House.
And I am Tom Doherty, a counselor in the Victory House, along with the counselor who oversees our College and Career Center.
So we're going to have a lot of information to share tonight, but we understand this is a long night for everybody, so we're going to try to be as efficient as possible and get rolling. So first thing, we want to reintroduce you to our teams. As you probably are aware, we operate in a house system, and the houses are divided by alpha. So we start with our Merit House. If your last name is A through FE, your family would be part of the Merit House. That's me in the middle, so if you're BRJ to DOM, I'm your counselor. Then moving on to the Victory House. Victory House last name's FF through LOP, and Mr. Doherty's got a slice of the Victory House over there. So this is your Victory House team. The Honor House is LOQ through ROD. And then finally we've got the Spirit House, last name's ROE through Z. And I believe Miss Liska might be in the house representing the Spirit House. There she is. All right, so we are your guidance team, we are your counselors, counselor secretaries, and the house team. And then we've got Mr. Doherty, thank goodness, down in the College and Career Center, and Miss Judy Kraft is our secretary down there. So we're going to start with a little announcement. The PSAT NMSQT, which is the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. Thank you. This exam we are hosting in our building on October 12th. So that is a school day. It'll take about half the school day. This is an optional exam for our juniors only. So this is the exam where students can potentially qualify for National Merit Scholarship. Typically, we would encourage our students who historically score very well on standardized tests. But for other students, you can use this for practice. Now, the thing I want to emphasize here is students need to pre-register for this exam. There is a fee. The fee is $23, and they need to register through Total Registration, which is posted on our website as well as the MATIA website. The deadline for this exam registration is very firm because we have to pre-order the exams. So if you're interested in registering as a junior or as a parent of a junior, you want to make sure that we register by September 12th. So that deadline is coming up.
I could add too, last year juniors as sophomores, you took a practice SAT, PSAT in the spring. This is a similar test, only this is the one as it's continued to the NMSQT for the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. And those results for those students who qualify typically come out in the the fall of senior year. And to give you an idea, I think this year there might be about less than 10 semifinalists. And of those finalists, typically if you do become a semifinalist, oftentimes you do become a finalist, which does attach to some scholarships and different things at different universities and colleges.
Yeah, so just once again emphasizing this deadline, we've got to register by the 12th. Okay, so junior year is a year where we're starting the second half of high school, and we're thinking about what's happening after high school, right? So we're doing some research or talking about career opportunities or post-secondary plans. And we've got two resources that I want to emphasize that we're going to be using with your students. So if you take nothing else from this, listen to my portion of this presentation, which introduces the tools. Just kidding, Tom. So our first tool is just our website. We have our own, and thanks to Mr. Doherty for taking the time to diligently put all of the information for guidance onto our MATIA counseling website. So this has everything college and career. We also have, see these tabs up at the top, we've got each level. And for our juniors here, we've got a junior timeline under there, which kind of breaks down junior year, maybe tasks and goals for junior year monthly. We've got, look, today's announcement, what we're doing right now. If we scroll down, we've got some other PSAT information, which we just discussed. There's a job board here. And then as we continue through this presentation, we'll be talking about researching and college research and college visits as part of your research. And so we host colleges. Admissions reps come to Mattia Valley during almost all of our lunch periods starting on the 12th of September. And students can sign up and meet with the people who are actually going to be reading their applications. They can get information about the colleges. But even for students who are just sort of exploring and they don't know anything about college, this is an excellent opportunity to actually speak to the source. So there's a tab here, and right now I think we have over 80 colleges, and I'm just going to open up the link, already registered to come. So you can see the date they'll be arriving, the period they're available, and your students can come and just have a sit down and chat with our admissions reps. Anything else we want to highlight? We've also got a college and career tab here.
A couple extra things I would add. Just so you, as you look at the site, just so you understand kind of the background of the site and how it was developed. We as counselors, there's 10 counselors plus our director, we get similar questions year after year and have for years. You know, many of us have been doing this a long time at different schools, this school, different districts, things like that. And so, and also, many of us in our department are parents of high school students, college graduates, college students, things like that. And so this site, don't go there looking for pretty pictures or things like that. It's meant to be like a dashboard. It's meant to be informational. And it's meant to have things that we get asked about a lot and that you all as parents and me, frankly, as a parent of students going through the system would want to know. The other thing to know about it as you search through it is there are a lot of things that might be duplicated, whether that's on this junior tab and the college career tab, and that's purposeful. It's purposeful so that you don't have to click around all over the place trying to find what you want to find. So we really want to encourage our families, for all levels, to make this a resource, check it out, see the things that are connected. One of the things on the front page that I put up there this year was our school profile. That's for the class of 23, so just so you all know, next year we'll repeat this again, but we have a school profile that gives all kinds of details about our school. All kinds of details about the school, our class sizes, our GPA distributions. We don't rank, but we do show our GPA distributions. And that document, that profile, is what is sent with every college transcript that gets sent for our seniors. So if you're looking for a lot of good information about our school, it's a color document. You might find that interesting. And we put that right there on the splash page as you enter in. The other thing that I'd like to mention about this, I see some students here. I know we have Dana and Naimi. Did I say it right? Naima here. In the front row, we were talking before, so I see lots of you out in the crowd, and we see parents, students. It's wonderful that you're all here, so thank you for being here. Students, if you're looking for a job, listen up, because right below, towards the top, is that job board. And so local companies or businesses will call our school. If they call our school telling us that they have a job or anything, they'll route them to me, and then we'll post them on this job board. So instead of looking for signs, and there are a lot of signs, there are a lot of places looking for work, but students, if you do want to get a job, take a look up there. We have some jobs posted already this fall. And then right next to that is a resume template that will download into your Google Drive. So if you click on that, it'll say make a copy. It'll go right to your Google Drive, and you can start a little resume if you want to start keeping track of your activities to bring to any job interview. The other little thing I'd like to highlight is that other outside events. They're under opportunities to meet and network. We believe that meeting and networking with people, adults, in different fields and different areas is a good thing. That other outside events, those aren't the college visits that Lisa was talking about earlier. These are other things that get sent our way. For years and years, we didn't have a way to get this information to you in a neat way, but if I get anything from different colleges that are having a virtual event, or sometimes colleges will host an event at a local hotel or something, if I see it, if it gets to me, I'll post it there. Just today, I happened to stumble across something at NIU for STEM. It's all about STEM things. NIU and it's company sponsored. It's a free event on October 15th for all ages, even the younger ones, through high school students and families. It's free. I just posted that today and was in communication with a person at NIU, and they were telling me about it. So things like that get posted on that other outside event, so keep checking back there frequently as well.
So this website, matiacounseling.org, save that on your phones. We have the kids save it on their laptops. This is going to be your reference for most of high school, really. Our other tool is here.
I'm sorry. Can you go to the college career tab real quick too? If you're really looking for a lot more information, some of the stuff overlaps, but we have it here as well in the college piece, the career piece, military, trades, professional organizations, links to those websites down below, financial aid things. So if you really are bored on a rainy day or something and want to look at some more information, check that link out as well. Thanks, Lisa. Sorry about that.
Okay. Going back to our presentation, our next tool, we talked a little bit about this already, visiting colleges at Matia. So these are advertised on that website. Students just need a pass to come down if it's not their lunch period. We talk about this with the students as well.
If you do want to come to a visit, you saw the different periods that they are. They may be during your lunch period, students, and by the way, these are for students only.
Oh, yes.
They may be in your lunch period, they may not. If you need to miss a class, you sign up in our office in the College Career Center. You pick up an orange half sheet, and you take that orange half sheet to your teacher to get permission, and then you bring it back as a ticket to get into the visit. These people that come and visit, we anticipate we'll have at least over 100 colleges this fall, are employed by the universities, so they are experts on the universities and admissions and scholarships and all different sorts of things like that. So we're very fortunate to have all these different people coming into our school talking to our students directly. It's a great way to put a face to a name for students and their interest and get their questions answered.
So our other tool is School Links. Your child has this app on their dashboard in their Chromebooks. There's not access for parents, but you can utilize student access to it. So it's this little green icon with a little chain link S, that's School Links. When you initially log on, the students might have to onboard. I think we've onboarded most of our juniors by now, but as soon as you log in, it's going to ask you a series of questions. It's just kind of an interest inventory to help sort of guide the students in a direction. But here's just a peek at School Links, so you can see students log on. Once they're onboarded, this is kind of their home screen. And if you can see these tabs on the side here, we've got the ones we want to focus on here are probably college and career. So we log in this Career Center. Students can do a search up here for different kinds of careers they might be interested in, look by region, and then let's just select this first one. If you click on a career, it'll give you information about salary. There's a video that kind of gives you a description of what that career might be like. So there's lots of information, job growth over the next couple of years, lots of good information about careers, so they can just type in things, or as part of their interest inventories that they can take through School Links, it might give them some options that they haven't considered, and then they can start researching those options, watch videos, do a little more research. And then if we go to our college tab, there's a search tool here, and it's pretty user-friendly. Like, it populates already a few things, but if I take out, I'm just looking at like public schools in the Midwest, right? say we want to stay local. It'll populate about 400 schools in the Midwest that are public schools. Now, if we want to narrow down that search, we can narrow down by major, just by typing in, let's say, I'm interested in engineering or mechanical engineering to be more specific. Let's see what schools in the Midwest offer this as a major. So now we've narrowed down our scope to 62 schools, and you can do that by region. You can look by admissions criteria, like if you have a student's GPA, you want to look at schools that kind of fall within their range. Lots of options to kind of search through degree types. So if we're looking for a 4-year institution, or we're looking for just a 2-year institution, you can search that way. And then you can just go ahead and click on these schools, and it takes you right to information about that particular school, so you can continue your research. So you can really go down a few rabbit holes, and this tool sort of takes you to all of those areas. Anything you want to add, Mr. Morty?
No, I mean, really, it does have a lot of information. There was a little piece on, I believe it was this screen, that you see that little icon with the graph, the scattergram in the upper right corner. That will give you some scattergram data. But parents and students often over the years have really asked for that and liked that information, and I certainly understand why. We had a program prior to schooling called Naviance that did the same thing. But I would urge caution when using this, because with our more selective universities, you are looking at 2 data points, right? You're looking at GPA and SAT score, which is fine, but remember, a lot of test optional admissions have creeped in the last several years, which I'll get to later in the presentation. So you can't always rely on that, because a lot of students are applying without test scores. Secondly, if it's a highly selective institution, let's say Northwestern University or University of Chicago or something of that nature, most of the students who apply have super strong test scores and super high GPAs, and it comes down to your involvement, your essays, your letters of rec, your leadership opportunities is one of the biggest ones. So a scattergram, you can look at it, but it also don't rule it as, oh my gosh, I'm going to get in or I'm not going to get in.
So as part of your research also, you can see up here, you can favorite schools, these little hearts. And then as juniors, your favorite schools will be in a list that you can access later, and then choose, okay, which schools am I going to apply to as a senior? So it saves all the data, you can make notes, and so all of what you've researched, because I know a lot of times we'll go and we'll Google something and we'll find information and then we'll forget where we found it, or what was that school I was looking at, or which was the one that I wanted to go back to. So School Links will save that data for you under your favorites, and then you can go back and continue your research kind of where you left off. And then you can dump some schools, add some schools, and when you're ready to apply, then you've got your list generated already. Can we go to School Links?
I think so. Thank you.
All right. Moving on.
So the next slide, we're going to start getting into the presentation about fit. And we know that in our district and at our school, we have many students looking at 4-year universities. We know also we have many students looking to start at a 2-year community college. And those two together, again, it's on our profile, I don't have it memorized, but I want to say it's probably about 92% or so of our graduating class last year that went to one of those options. Ironically enough, College of DuPage was the #1 school overall that our students as a whole went to. And then 4-year school, I want to say maybe University of Illinois or something like that. But just so you're aware, that's kind of the context of last year's graduating class. And this year's graduating class we expect to be fairly similar. But with that being said, our department, all of us have been in the department quite a while, and behind the scenes, we all value other opportunities too. So that when you come to a night like this, you hear about other opportunities too, because that might be a good fit for you students or your sons and daughters. Maybe that's the military. Maybe that's, getting as part of an apprentice program. And we know that there are careers out there now that are even based on certificates. Fun story, last week at curriculum night, I had a parent, I don't know if you're here, but you approached me in the hall by the College and Career Center and was asking me about, telling me that you worked at a place where you have certain certificates in technical fields that you can get these certificates and have very strong jobs without even a college degree. So, and I think these things after COVID and more people are online and things have changed and there are more different opportunities that are coming up all the time. So we just like you to think in a broad scope. Yes, we'll talk a lot about college and the 4-year search and things like that because that's kind of the big, scary, daunting task if you've never done that before. But also we want to make sure that if you're here thinking about alternatives, that you pay a visit to your counselor down to our College Career Center, and we can maybe dial that in individually a little bit more with some connections and things like that. So ultimately though, we want this to be a good fit for your son and daughter. A good fit doesn't mean what their friends are doing. A good fit has to do with their personality and your family's needs in both, most importantly, social, emotionally, academically, and financially, right? So, and sometimes that's difficult, being a parent of students that have gone through college and then going to college. Actually, I have a senior this year too, and in the conversations out there in the sport fields or the music audiences and things about where people are going, sometimes it's a challenge to make those decisions when certain people have all the money in the world to pay for college and other people don't. And having those discussions with your sons and daughters are important for them because ultimately they're the ones taking on the debt if there is that.
And starting these discussions now takes a lot of the pressure off of senior year. I know a lot of our seniors get stressed. The application process is more tedious than it is challenging if you've done your research junior year and you come prepared with a list of the colleges you want to apply to or the jobs you want to research further.
Next slide is about the military. So you're aware if anybody is interested or wants to learn more. We have visits in our cafeteria all the time outside of the College Career Center. On our website near the College Visits tab is a Military Visits tab. Ms. Kraft, who I'm sure you've gotten an email from, her picture was up there, but she sends a lot through our Synergy email, but she schedules all those visits, and we also list our recruiters' names on another tab on that particular document. If you're interested in the military or interested in just a career assessment, the ASVAB is the test to take. We did offer it last year in the spring. I do not have anything set up at the current moment, but I'm hoping to get something this year again. That ASVAB test not only is a great career tool free from the federal government, but it also gives the military an idea as to where you may fit in different jobs that you may qualify for based on how you score. So we will probably try to do that again this year, so keep an eye out for announcements. Again, the trades last year, if you came to our academic planning night, little plug for that in December, we typically have an academic planning night with all different sorts of options. We did have somebody from the IBEW, the Illinois Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, talking to families. And he and an apprentice were there telling them about all the great opportunities. Remember, if you do get into the trades, they pay for the schooling, the training. You don't have any debt. And I know a neighbor's son who was 22, 23 years old, making probably $90,000 a year as an operator, as an apprentice operator, just several years down the line. So you never know if you're interested in that or thinking about some hands-on and a lot of technical information. The trades might be something. If you have questions, students, stop on down and see me. We can talk further about that. And then we have the community college option, which all the years I've been doing this, we try to dispel that myth that it's a place where people go that can't go anywhere else. That is so not the case with College of DuPage. It's a phenomenal opportunity for our students. And I'll tell you a little bit about some of the options. So they have hands-on degrees. You know, you could go for a 2-year associates and go into like HVAC, that's heating, ventilation, air conditioning, automotive, all different sorts of hands-on type careers. And then what people I think most about College of DuPage is you go there for 2 years and then get an associate's degree and transfer to a university. So I know that we have probably a wide range of knowledge about what that might look like, so let me just explain how that could look. So if Ms. Lasandrello decided she was going to go to Northern Illinois University, and we were both seniors, that means I'd be younger. That'd be good. But if Ms. Lasandrello and I were seniors, and she was going to go to Northern Illinois University right out of high school, she could do that, and let's say accounting. We're going to study accounting, we're friends. And I said, you know what, I think for whatever reason, want to stay around home, live at home. I'm going to start at College of DuPage. And then I'm going to transfer to Northern Illinois University. So my first 2 years, aside from scholarships, would probably be more reasonable than hers. And I would transfer and we would reunite again up at Northern Illinois University. Pick your hall if we have any Huskies out there. Yes. But we would meet up again junior year and finish our last 2 years and walk across the stage with our degrees in accounting from Northern Illinois University, but we took different paths. So that's how, for those of you that aren't familiar with our American system, I get that question a lot, how does a community college work? That's the most basic kind of way that it works. The other thing about College of DuPage, bit of information that's neat, is I think I have this on the screen, those 3+1 programs. Now, if you're looking for a real value, I mean overall value, I don't know if I can think of one that's greater than that. So what typically they are 4-year degrees issued by a 4-year university that COD partners with. And the first 3 years are typically at COD prices, which are really reasonable. And the 4th year is at a reduced tuition rate at the partnering university, because COD, a community college, does not grant 4-year degrees. So for example, I think they have some partnerships with Lewis University. You may have heard of them in Romeoville. They had something in like criminal justice or something similar, maybe computer science. And so think of that cost savings. And remember, trust me, I know this, room and board is anywhere usually between, so that's just your housing and your food at a college, is anywhere between about $10,000 a year to about $18,000 a year at maybe like a Vanderbilt or something like that. So, and when we talk about College of DuPage costs, like all-in tuition, now this isn't including your gas costs, which I know are higher, but College of DuPage to go there is about $4,000 a year. Now you're still paying for your sons and daughters and their food, and I know teenagers, no offense, but sometimes you eat a lot. I witnessed that at home. But, you know, you're used to that cost. And then if you're thinking like, well, what about a Northern Illinois? Northern Illinois, room and board, tuition, everything with no scholarships is probably around $24,000, $25,000. U of I is probably around the $33,000 to $35,000. Sometimes it varies by program. So just to get you an idea, and then Northwestern, U Chicago, probably about $70,000. Again, sticker price, kind of like what it used to be when you bought a car and you never paid the sticker price. But now cars, I guess, are higher than MSRP or something, I don't know. But anyway, you get the idea. So that just puts that in perspective. They also have a Pathways program to University of Illinois engineering program at COD, which is a little bit more competitive to get into, but that is available. We have a great partnership with them. Matter of fact, October 4th, they're going to be in our College Career Center working with our seniors to apply. It's a free application, typically it's $20. And any of you juniors, if you have any questions, Stephanie LaCouncil is our rep. She will be there if you had some questions about some COD stuff as a junior. Pop your head on in there and we'll get those answered for you. So that's College of DuPage. We will have a session at the end for questions. We kind of like to leave that at the end, so those of you that are tired of hearing us talk can leave, and we won't be offended at all. So the next most of the rest of the presentation is going to be about that 4-year planning. What are you going to do this year, or some things that you can think of this year, and what can you do, headed into the summer next year, and some things to think about when you're looking at colleges. I would just like to see from the audience, how many of you in here have had a son or daughter go through the process already, whether maybe they're seniors or they're in college? Okay, great, excellent. And how many of you in here are first timers? Yes, so that's why you're here. Yes, wonderful. And tell your friends that didn't come because they've been through it that they should have come, because it changes an awful lot from year to year. Things do change quite a bit. But no, it's great to see all of you in different levels, and those of you that have been through it, maybe you want to lend a hand to some of those who haven't. But I totally understand, because like I said, sitting out in those crowds from my children's events, I get a lot of the questions from parents just because they know what I do, and I hear all of the things that are going on as far as like the questions that are out there. So the one thing I could say before we get into this is, we have your son or daughter has a counselor. Have him or her reach out to them. Students, don't hesitate to get to know your counselor. We want to help you. And we also have the College Career Center. It's connected to the cafeteria. You don't even need a pass to get there, so come on down and see me. So let's get going on this journey. This fall, Ms. LaSandrella did a great job explaining how you could use school links. We do have other college search tools on our website under that College and Career tab. You can do different search tools. Don't always think that if a college doesn't have what you're looking for exactly by name, that they don't have something under a different name or something similar. So if you really wanted to go to Michigan State University, but you didn't find a specific marketing analytics degree or something you were looking for, I would always urge a family or definitely a student, to call and say, hey, I was trying to do this, or I was hoping to do that. Do you have a degree that would be comparable, or what is that called at your university? It's a great way for students, for you to start talking to adults and advocating for yourself. I think that's what could set you apart, are those skills, especially after this COVID break, where everybody was kind of secluded. So start reaching out to some of those schools. So you can research through schooling.
Sorry to interrupt. A good opportunity is when the college admissions reps are at Matia and have those discussions face-to-face as well, because that is also a skill we need to continue to practice, because we've been doing a lot of things online for the last couple of years. So if you have questions, even if your question doesn't pertain particularly to a school that you're interested in, you can come and chat with the reps just about college in general. They're there to help.
So other things, College of DuPage is going to have a college fair. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's a huge open area with all kinds of tables, and those college reps that visit our high schools are behind tables, and there's lines of parents and students that are there to talk to them. It's a great way to kind of do some quick shopping, maybe pick up some pamphlets. There's a big one there at COD, and there's one in the spring, which I have on another slide, that's at North Central College. You can consider some test prep for SAT or ACT if you feel like you're trying to get that test score higher. Again, on our website, we have a list of providers if you're interested. Free one for SAT. I always like the word free. That's why I like scholarships and grants. Those are terms you should know for next year. That's free money from the colleges. But free prep for the SAT is through Khan Academy. They do a really nice job of that. Or I've even told some students, you know, the libraries have books if you want practice tests, or some of these used bookstores, some later books, those sometimes can work out well depending on how much direction you feel your son or daughter needs.
And there will be a free SAT offered in the spring that all of you juniors will take.
So in the winter, continue to be involved in those activities that you're doing. Continue to be involved, continue to document what you're doing. If you're doing community service, you keep track. We don't keep track for you. Look for, especially if you're looking for scholarships or highly selective universities, always look for that opportunity to take a leadership role. If you're starting something out or becoming a leader in a club, those things always look good and sometimes set you apart from other students, and they also sometimes give you a nice thing to write about in college essays. So continue your research, continue to be involved, look for those leadership opportunities. I mentioned earlier about the resume. We're going to register for senior classes. That's typically done around January or February, and that is something that you do want to have a little research done, because like the University of California schools want a year of fine arts. However, we don't require a year of fine arts to apply to, or to graduate our high school. But to apply to UCLA or UC Berkeley or those schools out there, they want a year of the same fine art. So if you are looking at schools and looking at their admission requirements, it's a good idea to know that when you select your classes in February so that you can do that. We were working, I think you and I were working with a student who was kind of in a bind this fall, and we were trying to help him through that situation in that very instance that I mentioned.
So I want to just go back to continue to be involved. So yes, we want your students to be involved. This is not a race to put as many things on your resume as you possibly can and fill up all your time joining every single club and every single activity that you possibly can. We want your students to start, as Mr. Gordy said, start sort of special, like taking on leadership roles, being involved in things that you're passionate about, that you can speak to when you have an opportunity to write an essay. Colleges don't just want a list of all the things that you showed up to and said, I was involved, right? Find the things that you enjoy and try to start taking on more ownership and leadership in those things.
And students, I'd like to add another thing to your list this whole year, is talk to adults. Like I mentioned this earlier, but seriously, look at all the resources we have here. All these adults here, and most of the people, my kids make fun of me for this because I talk to people about what they do. That's how I learn, right? And most people I've talked to or ask about their careers, they're eager to tell you because they like what they do, or maybe they don't like what they do, but they're eager to tell you the things that are good about it or maybe not so good. So students, the way to really find out is to really kind of open your mouths and make connections, and you never know where those connections might go when you're 22 out of college. Maybe that person that you started talking to when you were 16 or 17 has a job or an internship. And I know it's kind of a risk, or taking a risk to talk to an adult, but it's a great skill, so I encourage you to do that throughout this whole process. Next slide, please. There's that college fair at North Central College on March 14th. Again, these are all listed on our website. And we will post the video of this and the slides either tomorrow or the next day, whenever it's ready. We talked about the SAT. We talked about researching. Start thinking about if you want to get involved in the summer. Sometimes students are involved in their sports camps or music camps, or they're working or doing different things, but start thinking about that. Again, if you haven't met your counselor, come on in and meet us, see us, start up a conversation.
Actually, we're already planning right now. We're going to meet juniors. We were looking at maybe November in small groups with their counselors and start having these conversations and reintroducing them to the tools that we're discussing tonight. And then again in the spring, we intend to have individual conferences with our juniors. So we will be reaching out as well, but we really like it when you guys come up and talk to us. Our doors are open, that's what we're there for. We like to have you guys kind of initiate as you have questions rather than waiting for us to reach out.
So now let's talk a little bit about narrowing your list, things to think about when you're looking at colleges. Remember, there's over 4,000 colleges or so out there, and there are many that are very similar and many that are very different. The more you know about them, or maybe you step foot on some campuses, it will help you. And the other thing I like to tell people, and I'll get to this in that slide, but it's like, we are in a phenomenal location where we're located. Because you can drive a few hours south and be at Illinois State or University of Illinois. You can drive less than an hour into Chicago and be at University of Chicago, Northwestern, or UIC, DePaul, Columbia. You can be 30 minutes literally from right here, and you're at NIU, who has all kinds of different programs there. So step foot on those campuses when you can. This is kind of what I alluded to earlier. And the left is our common things that we see. So 4 years of English, we really would prefer 4 years of math, even though 3 would graduate you from here, but seniors really take your senior year off of math and then have to take math in college, not really a good idea. So 4 years of math would be preferred, at least 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies. World language, over the years, it's been a fun conversation. Parents are like, are you sure that's not a graduation requirement? It's never been a graduation requirement in 204 to have 2 years of a world language. However, it's a great idea if you can handle the workload, because some colleges, like University of Illinois, require 2 years of a world language to get into their school. Other schools don't. A lot of our schools, like Eastern, Western, Northern, you might not need that exact world language. It's a combination. But if you can handle it, 2 years to 4 years is a good idea.
And again, researching these early helps, because remember, your juniors are selecting their classes for senior year in January of this year, right? We have opportunities to make changes up until May, but having an understanding of, if I'm in Spanish 1, we want to push through and do that second year of Spanish to open a few more doors for colleges might be a good idea. So doing this early helps with the course selection process as well.
So let's talk about the person. Students, again, I want to talk to you. And parents, encourage this. I know, though, coming from the parent side, it's harder. Sometimes our sons and daughters need to hear it from a different adult. So that's why I'm here to talk about this. I truly believe that students, you are the most important piece here. So I believe if we take a strong student here who has strong interpersonal skills, strong academics, and put them at Michigan State or University of Michigan or U of I or Purdue or North Central College or Northern Illinois University, or insert your own university or college, I believe that you will be successful. And if you seek out opportunities, you would be surprised what you might find at those universities that you go to. And it might be something that is not even advertised. I know of a student who once went to a university that wasn't all that well known for engineering, but the cost fit his situation, and he ended up finding a professor that worked with the paints on automobiles for one of the larger automakers. And it wasn't a university that people are clamoring to go to for engineering, but that professor was there, and that particular student wanted to go into automotive type things, and he found that at this university. So ultimately, that student, though, sought out opportunities and got to know people at the university that he went to. So just a quick story to show you that it is so much about you. Not saying that highly rated universities are bad. I'm not saying that at all. They have great opportunities and connections and networking and things like that. But ultimately, I just like to build that confidence in the students so that they're not devastated if they don't get into their #1 school. Because we've seen that on our end. We've seen that. And I hate to see that, because it's more about you and what you can bring to the university. So know yourself. Who are you? What's your profile? Be realistic about yourself. Up until now, you might not have really had to think about that. But start thinking about those qualities about yourself. What type of support do you need? You might need not much support at all. Maybe you need a lot of support. And when I'm talking about support, I'm thinking in-school support or at home. Those are the things that we don't see. Maybe you need a lot of support at home. And for whatever reason, maybe you're helping to support your family financially. Everybody's a little bit different here, and that's why I absolutely love this school, because it runs the gamut on what we see here. What are your goals and values? What do you want to be surrounded with on a college campus? So think about yourself as a person. The programs. Make sure that when you're looking at schools, even if you think you really know what you want to do, you make sure they have a wide array of programs. Because it's very common for students to change their mind. And I bet if I asked for the adults in the room, how many people have changed their mind or their paths, or maybe have heard of a different career or you're in a career that you didn't even think you'd start in, right? I mean, and seeing the things I see in my job, I mean, there's careers out there that I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have loved that, right? And sometimes you gotta find that. So try to find a school that's gonna have a lot of different programs, and always ask about how easy is it to switch majors. So University of Illinois is one school that it's not so easy to switch majors. And we would never, ever, nor would they, advise students to go to U of I or put a major that you're really not interested in just because it's a little easier to get in and then switch to like engineering. It's not gonna happen. But other schools, like at Northern Illinois, you could probably go there and go from accounting to mechanical engineering. So kind of see how flexible these schools are when you're shopping around for the schools. I always like that lower left one, the job outcomes. You're paying $100,000, $200,000, $75,000 over the course of 4 years. So parents and students, you should be concerned or question their outcomes and ask them, who comes to recruit at your schools? Do you have job fairs? How is my son or daughter going to learn how to, do you have help with interviewing skills? You know, what are you going to help with my son or daughter for the next step? Because that's the ultimate goal. You'd like them out in hopefully 4 years or less, maybe 4 years, let's say. And then to have a job, or maybe to go get into the grad school that they're looking to do if they're that. So ask those questions. And yeah, the college mission and the different things, sometimes you pick up on this as you walk around campuses, you'll get a feel. Remember, most college campuses are open now, and if you even were on a weekend trip going for some other purpose, you wanted to stop by a campus and walk in a few buildings, a lot of times they're open for you to look in, and you can get an idea how clean it is. Or my kids hate this one, but every once in a while I'll stop a student and say, hey, how do you like it here? They're like, Dad, don't do that. And I'm like, I know, but that's what I do, I'm sorry. They're used to it now. But seriously, maybe strike up a conversation with the student, whether that student's doing that or a parent, maybe behind your child's back somewhere away, so you don't embarrass them like I do. But anyway, program, keep those things in mind. Place. What kind of environment do you like? And trust me, our school is about 3,000 students, this high school, right? So a college of about 3,000 students is a total different field than a high school of 3,000 students. So sometimes we get students like, oh, I need to go to a bigger school, or maybe you do, maybe that's fine, but maybe you don't. So you should at least give it a try, or at least take a look at it. But keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as you look at schools. I think location is super important, and I kind of speak from experience. I had one of my sons almost 6 hours away, and another that's about an hour and a half away, and it's a difference. It's definitely a difference. You know, the one that's closer, you could go down on a Friday night, pick them up, come back for an overnight or a weekend. It's kind of nice. The one that was farther couldn't do as much down there. But the one thing I would say is if you're looking farther reaching, always consider how close that airport is. Because that's nice with Uber and Lyft and things like that. You know, and you're kind of close to an airport. How easy is it to come home? Or, you know, maybe you have family in another area of the country. So consider those factors, not only for ease of convenience getting to and from, but also the cost of flights and travel and things like that should be part of your budget as you're thinking about looking at schools. Then, of course, the town. Do you like big cities? Do you want to be in Chicago or Pittsburgh or New York or different things? Or is that too big and overwhelming for you? Do you like more of a college town or kind of a suburban area like North Central kind of blends right into downtown Naperville? There are schools that have all different sorts of feels. So hopefully, if you want to start off and you want to look at like a North Central, you want to look at a Northern or Illinois State or a U of I, and then something in the city of Chicago, you get an idea of what you might like. And then from there, if you want to go farther reaching, then you could go farther reaching to maybe other states and stuff like that. Price. I'm going to start with the bottom topic. There's a man who I respect greatly. His name's Frank Palmisani. Many years ago, when I was a young counselor, I guess that was many, many years ago, I sat in the back of one of his presentations, and he's very knowledgeable about the college process. One of those guys where I sat back and I go, I want to be like that someday. But he does this program called Conquering College Costs. He's done it for us the last 2 or 3 years. Prior to COVID, it was always in person here, but now it's turned into a video presentation. Again, this will be posted, and you can link to this presentation, and we'll do some more advertising closer to October 20th. But Frank does it on a video now, and then he's live at that Q&A on October 20th to talk about a lot of the things I've kind of scratched the surface of tonight in regards to ways to kind of cut college costs and things to think about as well. I talked about the range. I did that earlier. I talked about those free words. Scholarships, remember? Students and parents are more for your talents. So that could be grades. That's called merit money, scholarships. Or grants are based more on your financial situation. And it is possible at some institutions to get scholarships and grant money together. Stackable is kind of the term. Stackable, or scholarships can maybe be stacked on top. So if you ever want to look knowledgeable when you're visiting a college and say, do you allow stacking of scholarships? The admissions rep should know what you're talking about. And then the FAFSA free, notice that word free, application for federal student aid cannot be filled out until October 1st of your senior year. So don't go home and try to do it tonight. And I've heard, and I can't tell you the details, nor am I an expert on financial aid, but the FAFSA is changing, I believe, for this class, the junior class. It's changing. Supposedly, I've heard it's going to be a little easier. They're going to look at things a little bit differently. I don't even know all the exact changes, but it is going to be a little bit different. And so this financial aid night for our seniors, we're going to have September 28th. We're really not even going to advertise it for our juniors just because things are going to change next year. And you can't fill out the FAFSA until October 1st. And then that one in the upper right, we'll talk again senior year. But parents, students, I know it's uncomfortable to ask your parents about money and how much maybe they have. That's not a typical conversation in most households. And parents, I know you don't probably talk to your sons or daughters typically about money, but I would encourage some sort of family conversation about maybe how much money you have to contribute. And if it's, hey, you get into whatever, we're paying for it, or if it's, we don't have any money to pay, it's important for your sons and daughters to kind of know that when they're selecting a college, in my opinion. Because we don't want that debt to get overwhelming for our sons and daughters, because ultimately that'll be on them. Next. And partners, again, we kind of touched about this. Who comes to recruit? What services might you need? Do you need to visit? Each college has a student for disabilities office or a different name. It just depends on the college, but if you need some extra support somehow, make sure they have that. And who are you going to learn from? You know, who networks with this college? How are you going to get those connections for your next level? I think are all important questions for you to think about when you're looking at schools. In regards to test optional admissions, so this was coming before COVID, and then COVID accelerated it to almost every school was test optional. And currently, in this current cycle, most of the colleges are still test optional, and they've either done it full time, and that's their decision, or they're on like a pilot kind of deal. So again, I can't tell you exactly each school how it's going to look next year. I think my prediction would be that it would be fairly similar, and there's going to be a lot of test optional schools. And I would predict that that will go on until maybe they have some really data telling them either, yeah, it was really a good idea, or no, it's really not working out, and we're not seeing students last at our colleges. So, but I think probably for this year's, the juniors class, I would guess that we're going to see a decent amount of test optional schools. And as far as like, how do you know what to do? It's kind of if your score's in that middle 50, but we'll talk to you about that senior year. And some schools you might apply to with a test score, and some you might not, depending on their selectivity, which makes this a great thing that you don't necessarily need a test score, but a more challenging thing to kind of navigate. Speaking from experience, that's probably one of the most challenging things I did with my current sophomore in college, was trying to figure out whether to submit test scores to each particular university. If we have any athletes out there, NCAA, if you're going to be a Division I or Division II athlete, we're not experts on the coaches and recruiting side. That's more Mr. Fairman, our athletic department, and your coaches. But there is the Eligibility Center if you're thinking of D1, D2 athletics. D3, you do not need to register with the Eligibility Center. NAIA is another series of smaller schools that they have their own Eligibility Center, and you would need to go ahead and apply there as well. I'm sure that your coaches or the coaches that are recruiting your sons and daughters, if that's the case, will tell you some of the things that you need to do if they want to make that happen at their particular schools.
And this is also a conversation you want to have with your counselors when you're picking your courses. Most of our courses are NCAA approved, but just making sure that you're picking coursework that maintains your eligibility.
And two, as far as the athletics go, Division I and Division II, I don't know if I said this, but you can get scholarship money for those two branches of athletics, but Division III, NCAA, there are no athletic money. So, in regards to the end, reach out to us, as I said. We do try to put out lots of announcements, and again, I know I see a lot of emails from the schools that I'm affiliated with as a parent, and it gets overwhelming. I get that, but also we don't want to not advertise our things. So those are some of the ways we advertise. Students, that Google Classroom link, if you can take a picture of that. If you're not on that Class of 2024 Google link, please do that, because I will send out announcements through that directly to the students. We talked about our website, and we do have a Twitter page, and hopefully we're trying to get more student-friendly ways to advertise, working with some students behind the scenes, so hopefully we'll see that come to fruition maybe this year. Excited about that. With that, I know, again, can be overwhelming. Know that we're here to help. You have some time. This is a good year to kind of keep exploring, talking around, attend our different events, give us a call, write us an email. We'll help you. And I really appreciate you all taking your time. We want to keep it to about an hour here, so we thank you for coming. If you have questions, what we're going to do instead of coming up individually is go ahead and stay, raise your hand. Lisa or I will come around, get your question, repeat it for the crowd, and then we'll answer that. If any of you would like to leave or you're tired of hearing us talk after an hour, we are not offended. Please feel free at any point to get up. We'll give a short pause here now, and then we'll start our question.